Hi everyone, this is Daniel,
And I'm Jun,
and we are
Korean.
American.
Morning.
Morning, Jan.
I like your shirt.
Little preview for our episode today.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this was.
I had no idea.
This was one of the first things I bought when I moved here.
Really?
Yeah, and I remember when we first moved to Korea, we went to a nearby outlet, and at the Nike store they had this, and I was like, oh, this is so cool.
Show it to the audience. It has soul
It
in
has
it.
soul in it.
And
yeah.
I'm surprised it should be like 3.5 years old, right?
Yeah.
I'm surprised with the neck.
Yeah. I've kept it in good condition,
Oh, yeah.
but yeah, I keep looking for something similar. I haven't been able to find it because a lot of my friends not a lot, but some friends back home were like, oh, can you buy me that similar shirt, etc. I just couldn't find it.
I thought every time you go to Nike, there is something that has like soul or Korea in it.
That's what I expected to find here.
Oh, but it's
But
not?
I don't know, for whatever reason. It's because I don't go to like the flagship Nike stores in Seoul, right? I go to like the suburban, as suburban as these
Go to the one
areas
in the
are.
백화점. They would have it.
Too expensive. I don't shop at the Baekhyun.
I'm pretty sure they don't have it in the outlets. But the thing about outlets,
No, they
in
did
Korea,
though. The first time I went, they had it.
Oh,
but
yeah.
it's not a staple there.
I have a gripe with outlets in Korea.
I do too, kind of, but
They're not cheap.
yeah, they're not much cheaper. Yeah.
And it's so scandalous because I heard once in the news that they over tag it and then discount
To
it.
the same price as it would be normally. yeah.
Because like if you go to the outlet in the States, it's like every time I see the price tag, it's
Yeah.
pretty surprising.
Oh yeah,
right?
it's like
Oh,
50%
yeah.
off. Yeah.
But then I don't know why outlets are so popular again in Korea.
I honestly, we stopped going because of that exact reason.
Yeah.
The prices aren't that discounted. The stores are always kind of high end anyway. Like when I go outlet shopping in the US,
Yeah.
I just like basically buy my entire wardrobe for the year. But here it's like, I usually go and I end up not buying anything.
Yeah.
Or I buy one thing just to make the trip worth it.
Yeah.
It feels too depressing to like drive 30 minutes, shop for whatever,
Yeah.
and then not buy anything.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But also the thing about US outlets like the clothes. It's not only about outlets, but clothes in general. If
Yeah.
you shop in the US, it doesn't really fit Asian bodies.
Yeah.
It's like always the sleeves are too long, and then the top to bottom is very long.
Yeah.
Specifically for tops.
Yeah.
Yeah, it always goes like a little bit below what I usually wear. But they are cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to find. In particular, I'll just shout out. I want to say Vince or All Saints. These brands in the US, I think, are like, let's say mid tier. Holy cow! I think they're literally 4 or 5x the price here in Korea. It's
Really?
insane. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
One thing that I realized that has a very big price difference is Club Monaco.
Oh yeah.
It was supposed to be, and also in the US, I don't know if they do that now, but they have like a student discount. If I showed them my student ID, they would give me like a 15% discount
In the US.
In the US, and it wasn't that expensive to begin with.
Yeah.
But in Korea, it's like more high end. Everything's more high end.
Everything's more high end. Yeah.
Gap is it's not like dirt cheap in Korea.
Here. Yeah, I don't know if I've shopped there, but
Yeah.
it's a staple, one of my staples. And
Yeah.
For the record, All Saints and Vince were, Did I say it was my wife's staples?
They are? I thought they were men's clothes, no?
They also carry men's clothes, I believe.
Oh,
but-
it's not. Okay.
Yeah.
The All Saints is the one that they have like a sewing machine.
Yeah. Like the hundreds of
those
sewing
are
machines in the
expensive,
front.
even in the States.
But
I
it's
never
not.
shopped there.
It's not like high. No, I would say it's like mid, upper mid maybe, but it's not. I don't think considered a premium or luxury brand.
Yeah.
But the prices in Korea are just shockingly.
But you know
high.
what? Like fashion in general, their prices went up a lot.
Overall,
I think. Like
So
even
maybe
like
there's some inflation
even
in
like
the
the
US.
luxury brands, if you look at it. You know how like Chanel bags, they're like bumping up the prices every year.
I don't know. Yeah,
It's crazy.
how expensive they've gotten.
I wouldn't be surprised if they went up 2x over the last 5 years or something like that.
I could believe that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have like they have a word for that. For people to justify buying the luxury goods, it's like in Korea they say it's an investment because the price is gonna go up.
Yeah.
Anyways,
But yeah, June. Last week we had a listener visiting from Portugal, and she was visiting with her husband.
yeah.
And she's someone we had exchanged some email correspondences with, so we had a little bit of context. But yeah, it was just awesome to have. We had a 3-hour conversation with them.
They graciously came all the way down to Pangyo.
Yes,
Thanks
yeah.
for my convenience. Thank you.
Working man.
Yeah, because I work here and I can't. Yeah, I can only spend the lunchtime to meet people. So thank you very much again for coming down all the way here.
Yes, and again, even though there's no expectation, they brought some gifts from Portugal, but we're very grateful for them, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have them laid out on the table, some of them, but I wanted to bring up 2 things from the gifts. 3 things maybe. First, they brought a book for us each.
The book is called Blindness. I only read through like the cover.
Ooh, I'm
page.
saving it for my first ever flight to Europe.
By Vintage Saramago. I wonder if Vintage is his name or whether it's like
Probably labeled.
yeah. So it's by
Saramago.
Saramago. And they were like very excited.
Yeah, they were raving about it.
Oh, his name is Jose Saramago. Yeah. Anyways, they were very excited about this novel. The only thing that I remember is that they compared it to Black Mirror.
Yeah. Like
So
you
I'm
take some quirk and, you know, what would the world be if you took that to its logical conclusion?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm excited. I'm saving it for my first ever flight to Europe in a few weeks. So.
Oh, very timely.
But June, I was just gonna say, gifting a book, that to me is so European.
Is it?
They were so proud of Portugal's basically history and the arts and
They're
humanities.
very cultured.
Very
Yeah.
cultured. First of all, I think Europeans overall are just
Yeah.
very cultured.
Yeah.
But this couple in particular did feel very cultured too.
Yeah. Not
But yeah.
only about the gifts, but like the conversations that we had. Like
Yeah,
they were
we'll get into the
very-
conversation. But who would you ever think to gift now Hangang maybe, but would you ever gift a book?
If I'm like a very active reader,
Yeah.
I could, but not really.
Yeah, it's such again, just a cultured thing to do.
Yeah.
I was trying to think like what would even be an American version? Like what American book would I ever think to gift someone to like introduce them to maybe American culture or something I'm very proud of?
Yeah.
I got nothing. Yeah, maybe Mark Twain. If I were thinking of famous American classic authors, yeah, Mark Twain. Maybe Langston Hughes. I like Robert Frost. I don't know who else I would ever gift.
Dan something, that guy?
Wait, like what was it? The conspiracy theory books, Illuminati things.
Oh, he's not. Wait.
Dan Brown, right? Is that who you're thinking of?
Yeah, Dan Brown.
Wait, isn't he?
Oh, sorry. I was referring to.
Yeah, Da Vinci Code. Yeah,
Oh,
Dan
yeah.
Brown.
And also Daniel Steele.
Oh, Danielle Steele.
Danielle Steele. Oh, it's a she.
Dude,
Danielle.
June. That's known as like trashy heartthrob. Like, yeah.
That to me is American writing.
Like kind of tabloidy.
Is it?
Yeah. Anyway, sorry, I don't mean to offend, but anyway,
You know, like I had like a very specific moment in our conversation where I realized they're very European and very cultured. Is when they were referring to a place, like she was describing something that happened in some building.
Yeah.
And then she said like in that Niemeyer building.
oh, Niemeyer, is that an architect?
It's an architect. Which like
Woo,
I
that
don't,
went totally
I don't
over
think
my head.
anyone. I only understood it because I have an architecture background.
Yeah.
But I've never heard anyone outside of architecture describing a building
By its
architects.
I totally missed that.
Yeah.
Unsurprising. Not unsurprisingly.
Yeah. Yeah, Oscar Niemeyer is a very famous Brazilian architect. Yeah.
I see. June, the second thing I was going to bring up with the gifts is they brought a little card game for me and the kids to play with. And so we played it. It was really fun. It was basically Go Fish. Do you know Go Fish? No. We talked about this last episode. Anyway, Americans grow up playing, hundreds of different card games just with the standard deck of playing cards.
Yeah.
One of them is Go Fish. So this was essentially a dedicated Go Fish game, but I believe with famous Portuguese artists as the drawings. So yeah, our kids loved it. It was really fun. But I wanted to say the game came with the instructions in 4 different languages. I believe it was like Portuguese, Spanish, Italian, maybe more German. I think English was there too. But just like there were like 6 or 7 different inserts in different languages. Again, reminding me of how multicultural and I guess diverse and I don't know, mixed.
Can I tell you something though? That's what everyone else in the world gets as an instruction. Except for you guys.
Ours is just English.
Because it's not that foreign to me, I guess, reading that kind of instruction books that have many different languages.
Interesting. I feel like when I get my board games in Korea, which we talked about last episode or in a previous episode, just Korean, maybe English. They don't come in a bunch of different languages.
Oh,
right?
that's true. If it's Korean, then it'll only have Korean. But if it's an international brand,
I see.
Yeah.
Okay, I get it. IKEA instructions, they always have the insert with all the different things.
Yeah.
I guess I'm comparing it to board games. Yeah. My American board games, I don't believe come in other... Maybe I just ignore it? Anyway, what did stand out to me was that I had to like look for the English one. It wasn't like English primary, everything else secondary.
Also, when you say instructions, what I feel different from the US to Europe is that when you see those instructions, right, and they tag it with the flags indicating the languages.
Yeah.
Europe, it always shows the British flag, whereas in the US they show an American flag. Yeah.
Why don't Korean board games or Korean things ship with instructions in, let's say, various Asian languages, right? I'm thinking at least Mandarin, Japanese, Korean, or do they usually?
Korean board games?
Or just like Korean products in general. I would expect maybe it ships with the instructions for all the common countries they export to.
If you get it in that country, you might see it maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
But in Korea, they just ship with like the domestic Korean.
Yeah, I think so.
Interesting. Anyway, I don't know if American products are similar, but yeah.
Indication of how homogenous this society is again.
America just doesn't export as much. Am I wrong in that?
I think they're a huge export, actually.
Definitely missiles and like the very expensive things. But like I would never buy...
I think they're second to China.
As far as global exports?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
What's an American thing that you export? Import.
Here?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, Starbucks?
Like product, let's say. That's the thing. Manufacturing in America is so expensive, right? So,
manufacturing?
Yeah.
iPhones?
Okay, that's true.
Yeah,
iPhones, okay.
like the computers.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway.
Famously doesn't ship with an instruction, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, anything else from the gifts you wanted to highlight?
No, I saw, like, these are so fancy. Like, this... I didn't even know what these were, but it says Portugal tastes good, so I was like very curious to see.
Yeah, one is.
And it turns out it's like a very beautiful
the
bottle.
The bottle's beautiful. Olive oil. I tried it.
You tried it?
So good.
It's good.
Yeah, even the smell. It smells different than I guess the regular olive oil I cook with.
Yeah. But if it's from Europe and if it's in like this tiny bottle, it must be good.
You got to get some crunchy bread, June. Get some balsamic, and then you guys gotta eat it that way.
Ooh,
get some nice cheese.
And then this one. Oh, is it port wine?
Yeah, port is I think kind of a sweeter dessert wine.
Is it?
Yeah.
And it's higher in alcohol content, right?
Yes.
Because it's 19.5. Ooh, and it's so European in that they don't when they describe decimals, they use like the comma instead of the dot, the period.
Yeah.
Very European.
Okay. Oh, before we moved on, Jin, I wanted to ask you. Yeah, we had this discussion live, but what would a Korean think of Portugal? Like, what are their references to it, or what are their stereotypes about Portugal? Let's say, without going super deep because we don't have time.
Yeah.
But just curious.
Yeah, the first thing comes to mind is not Portugal, but Lisbon specifically. It reminds me of this computer game that I used to play that I didn't specifically play it, but people used to play in my generation. It's called 대항해 시대, which is translated to It's actually called Uncharted Waters,
Oh, okay.
the game, but 대항해 시대 is a historical term,
Age of exploration, I believe.
age of discovery.
Age of discovery.
Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, it's like when they were discovering all these colonies
Yeah, yeah.
or like uncharted lands actually. But Lisbon was a very important location for that.
Yeah.
So that's one impression of Portugal as a Korean. And then of course Ronaldo.
Yeah, Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yeah. What else is there? Portugal.
You mentioned one thing. Koreans like to do a month abroad there.
Oh yeah. It's like a recent thing. I think this started during COVID, or like right after COVID or something,
Yeah.
where this concept called 한 달 살기 was very in trend in Korea.
Translates to live 1 month.
Live
literally.
1 month. Yeah. So they just go somewhere abroad and live there in the city for 1 month. And I kind of like that concept because it gives you a different impression of the location compared to when you're just like visiting there for a couple days as a tourist. So it's more like trying to understand the city or like the place more by living there for 1 month, which is a luxury, right?
Yeah.
And I think this was more popular amongst people who are working in places where they support remote working or work from home. And specifically the city Porto was a very famous location for doing 한 달 살기. So I saw a lot of like YouTube videos showing like that 한 달 살기 life in Porto. Looks amazing actually. And I'm going there in 1 month.
Oh,
so
very exciting. Yeah.
So I'm very excited.
You're not gonna 한 달 살기 though.
I wish I could. I really wish I could.
한 주 살기.
Not even 한주.
3일 살기. I am also, I guess we should share, going on my first ever, I'm gonna step foot on European soil for the first time ever in my life after 41 years.
Yeah. How American
I know.
of you.
No, I'd say East Coasters have generally gone.
Really?
If you travel, but that's the thing. Growing up, I didn't travel at all.
Yeah, but I did hear that Americans,
Never leave America.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's in general true.
there's like a disproportionate tendency to not travel abroad.
We'll get into this, June. But
Yeah.
I mean, when you're bordered on two sides by gigantic oceans, it makes it hard to go anywhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, one of my best friends growing up, literally my best friend, I guess, in late elementary and middle school, he's getting married. And so they're having a destination wedding in Mallorca, and I'll be traveling for the first time.
Wow.
I was-
Mallorca is in Spain, right?
Spain, yeah. I was really hesitating whether to go or not. No kids allowed, so it was either going to be my wife and I, or we try to travel with the kids, hire a local babysitter or something. But between work and the kids' activities and just traveling with 4 kids,
Oh, I didn't know
seem
the
worth
whole
it.
family's going to travel.
No, they're not. They're not.
Oh, they're
This
not.
is why it was so hard for me to decide to go.
Okay.
And at first, I'm kind of ashamed to say I declined. And then, there was a series of things where I guess I attended, I said on a previous episode, 2 weddings in 1 day. And then one of our other good friends from high school who also went to college with us, he went from a no to a yes. They got their parents to basically babysit their kids. And then that combined with, again, doing our college episode where I was just talking about this guy nonstop, was like, no, I got to go to this thing. I would regret not going if I choose not to. And so ultimately last minute I decided to go.
Nice.
Even though, it's not an easy thing to make happen. But yeah, anyway, I'm excited to do that.
I'm excited for all the stories that you're going to bring back. Can you spare some time to travel alone after or before?
Yeah, so it's a long flight there and back. So my wife graciously said, some of our mutual friends going to this wedding too, they're spending 3 days, 2 to 3 days in Madrid, which is not, I was talking to another person from Spain. They were like, you don't need to go to Madrid, go to Barcelona instead. But our flights are in and out of Madrid, and I think it just made sense. So yeah, I am spending 1.5 days in Madrid before flying home.
I'm sure Madrid is going to be awesome as well.
I think anything will be fun and exciting for me because it's all going to be new.
Yeah.
I think I wanted to highlight one thing. I think, again, we had a 3-hour conversation with this couple from Portugal. Could have been easily, 3 more hours. But the one thing that stood out was just how deeply knowledgeable they were about their history.
Yeah.
And in particular, they were talking about Portugal's role in colonization.
Yeah.
And at their peak in the 1500s or whatever, they had 9 colonies, something like that. as well as, again, Portugal's role in, I guess,
Exporting slavery.
the transatlantic slave trade, and as well as, I think, very recently they had a dictator, and only recently did they move to somewhat parliamentary democracy or something like that.
Yeah.
And so I did very quick research, but yeah, it was surprising to me. I didn't know all of this. I guess maybe most people do.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm particularly ignorant.
Yeah.
But I think they estimate 40% and of the slaves that were shipped from Africa to across the Atlantic, mostly to Brazil, I believe. But yeah, 40% were, I guess, facilitated by the Portuguese, roughly 4.5 million, which, again, just to remind you just how crazy and awful this was. But the other thing I thought was fascinating was the history of why Brazil was a Portuguese colony. Apparently, once Christopher Columbus came back or whatever, all the Spanish and Portuguese navigators were like chomping at the bits to start colonizing everywhere. But the Catholic Church, I believe, had to divide the world up between Portugal and Spain. And so it just happened to be the line, because Brazil extends pretty far east, like just a little bit of it was on the Portuguese side.
Yeah.
So Portugal, quote unquote, got Brazil as well as most of Africa and some of Asia, while Spain got the Americas, right, and Latin America, and anyway, Central America, North America. So
it literally reminded me of like back in the days. They would have thought of the world as this like board game that they're playing, because it was so dumb in the way that they split.
They drew the slide. I just, again, it was fun to learn more about history and just to reflect. I guess this is why I love meeting with listeners, because by default, I think they're already interested in kind of what we're doing and our mission. Yeah. So they're interested in broadening perspectives and hearing about different, global world viewpoints. And this couple who is Portuguese, neither Korean nor American, still is very, I guess, loyal listeners and very interested in our topic. And it was just fun comparing Europe to America and Korea. So yeah, it was just such a wonderful time, and I wanted to say that.
Can I add in like one crazy thought that I have?
Of course.
When you mentioned slavery, you know how like the advent of AI and robotics and all that, I think robots of course they're gonna start out as like they already start out as helpers in the factory, but then they're gonna come into the domestic scene, right? Helping out with people doing like, chores and stuff. Do you imagine sometimes like when AI and robotics gains their own consciousness, they would look back in history and view this as slavery? And they would like retaliate, and we'll look back in this time of history as like this very dark age of
how could they enslave the AIs in a sense? I hesitate to make that comparison.
That could be a Black Mirror episode.
Well, I'm sure it is already, but not to play judgment over levels of consciousness, but I think comparing it to something like slavery historically, and even modern day slavery, we're actually slaving humans. That is kind of unambiguously bad right now. I get what you're saying. Maybe our perspectives will change in the future.
By no means I'm trying to normalize anything, but it's like
no, I get that's an interesting thing though. Like if AI is conscious, at this point maybe it's not conscious, so it feels okay. Or is it? How do we know?
Anyways, they're still in Korea, and I feel bad. Because they offered or they asked if we can show them around Seoul, but we just couldn't because of like certain logistics. So I feel bad. I really wish I could, not just to show them around Seoul, but just have a conversation with them and understand like how they're viewing Korea, because it's your first time in Asia, right?
First time in Asia.
So I feel bad, and I feel like it's a lost opportunity, but I hope that you have a wonderful time here. The weather is amazing right now. So
they mentioned a very famous book, I think by a Korean author in Portugal, which you had no reference to.
No, it was called Pur.
Okay.
Pur, which is grass.
Grass, okay.
Which was specifically around comfort women. But I've never heard of this before, and they already read it, right? And it was so surreal.
Isn't that crazy? Too?
Yeah, describing this Korean book to Koreans, and we had no idea what it was.
Well, definitely me, but I just
felt
think,
so uncultured.
yeah, isn't that? I just think it's so cool.
Yeah.
Just I think for completeness sake, before we move on, as an American, my view of Portugal is kind of an extension of Spain.
They admitted it's kind of is.
They said it was not offensive to them, but that's just how I thought. It's like completely enwrapped by Spain. So I thought Portuguese culture would essentially be an extension of, I think, Spanish culture. So kind of very, vibrant and loud and talkative and social and everything. But to my surprise, they said Portuguese overall are much more reserved. Their social circles are a little bit smaller.
Yeah. They described it as Spain's quieter cousin or something.
Which, it was just not shocking. It was just surprising to hear.
Yeah.
And I guess, again, to reflect back, it's not the first time I've known someone who was from Portugal. But the thing is, when you meet in America, I don't know, for whatever reason, I just never brought it up, or the conversation doesn't automatically get there. It stays either very surface level, it's like Cristiano Ronaldo, like, and maybe that's it, or like what food, etc. But I think because our listeners again are just predisposed to think about and talk about these things, we get to go really deep, I think, when we talk to listeners that way. So I think that's, and I don't know where I'm going with this, but
do you feel the same way? Because I sometimes feel that Americans, they hold themselves from asking these cultural questions because they are afraid that they might come off as racist.
From my perspective, no. It's just we don't care.
Oh, we don't care.
Or we're so uncultured we don't even know what to ask. Maybe I should just say myself.
Yeah.
In general, before I said I would never have thought to ask. I just didn't have a maybe natural curiosity. And even if I did, I think I don't even know what I would ask, right? Where do you even start from? And maybe the first conversation you do is like, oh, I went there once. I vacationed there. I traveled there. You could talk about that.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I have a friend who was from there, and talk about those differences. But anyway, at least in my experience, it always felt very surface level. And I credit mostly like having left America, and explicitly, again, the reason why we chose to leave America for a season, I credit that with kind of at least building this more natural curiosity and maybe a sense of empathy for people living outside of America.
Yeah.
Yeah, the world does not revolve around America again. But okay. It's a much longer intro, but yeah, let's move on to our episode.
What is today's episode about?
I hope this will be episode 100.
Yes.
We made it without missing a single week.
Oh, feels so surreal that we made it to 100.
Yeah, I was going to say, just like the weather's been awesome, like your classic San Francisco weather, I'd say. It reminds me, one of my biggest gripes when I was living in the Bay Area for so long is that because the weather's always the same, there's a point, I'll get to it. It's hard to realize time is passing, right? But I realized living in Korea, we're back to the 4 seasons. But beyond the seasonality and the weather, 2 things are really helping me keep track of the passage of time. One is my kids, as they get older, of course, it's just like constant reflection and milestones that way. But 2, it's the podcast.
Oh, is it?
It's like
100th week.
Yeah, just 100 weeks and going back and thinking about the episodes. It was just really a good time.
And I'm proud to say 100 weeks period because we never missed a
single week. We never missed a week. Yeah. So, I think this podcast has also helped me keep track of the passage of time over the last 2 years while we've lived here. So,
I wish I can experience that like numbness of time because you have awesome weather all year round.
It is very nice. I won't, again, don't get me wrong, there's good things about it.
Yeah.
But I think after like a couple years, just like perfect weather every day, I did start to miss the differences. And,
really?
Yeah. Specifically with the passage of time. Like, it's just like, to me, it's this, I will say, kind of a sick feeling when you realize, oh my God, like a year passed and you kind of didn't even realize it. Right? You are forced to realize
enjoy
it.
this weather for a year.
Yeah, but anyway.
This is a bit of a side note, but I was surprised that you described it as San Francisco weather. Because every time I go to San Francisco, I realize the weather's not that great.
San Francisco is generally colder.
Yeah. It's very windy.
Yeah. Very famous Mark Twain quote.
Yeah.
The coldest winter I ever had was a summer in San Francisco.
And it's very foggy.
It's foggy, it's cold, it's a little bit overcast. No, that's not true. It is cold and windy overall. And foggy.
And I learned it from you. The fog has a name.
Carl the Fog.
Yeah.
He has an Instagram account, I believe.
Yeah.
But
it's a he?
I don't know if they gendered Carl. I think it's a he. Carl's a guy's name,
yeah.
So I would generally call it Bay Area weather. I don't know why I said San Francisco that time.
Yeah.
You're right. San Francisco's a little colder.
Yeah.
We did live in San Francisco for a long time, but we also moved out to Peninsula where it's much warmer. Yeah. Actually, where I live in the Bay Area, I think generally is known to have the best weather in the Bay Area. Yeah.
So jealous.
Anyway, Jun, before we dive into it, what does 100 episodes of the podcast mean to you?
I was wondering if 100 means specifically more special, have a specifically more special meaning to Koreans.
Oh.
Is it not?
100일?
Yeah,
that's
like
true.
100일.
100 days of dating.
Yeah.
It does hold more cultural significance, I would say, in Korea.
And also for babies, right? 100일.
That's 100일. Oh, that's what I was referring to. Yeah, the 100 days after a baby's born.
Oh, I thought you said 100 days of dating.
Oh, 100일. Both.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So I thought, is 100 a more significant number to Koreans?
I would say yes, it is. Yeah.
Ah.
You do something special on 100 days of
Is it because you guys don't
dating.
use metrics?
No, I was going to say the same thing.
Oh, really?
Because you guys also, I think, have special milestones for 1,000 too.
Yeah, 1000일.
Yeah,
Interesting.
Of course we use base 10 for numbering, right? But we don't use it for other measurements.
I'm not a very particularly sentimental person.
Yeah.
So I'm proud of it.
No tia?
What?
Tea, you're a tea.
Oh, no tia?
No tia.
I thought that was some like European word.
Nutty. Nutella.
Yeah,
No tia.
But yeah, I feel very proud and definitely feels like a milestone.
Yeah,
and
totally.
Again, it feels very surreal. Yeah, it's a 백 특집. Every time you see like a variety show or something, they celebrate the 100th episode. 100회 특집. 특집 means like a special, like 100th special.
Wait, how do they? Oh, we're not doing something that special.
We're not.
What should we have done?
But that's one of the reasons that I kept on alluding to, like, we should do this like special episode thing, though.
Okay. Now I feel bad.
No, but we did prepare something.
What would you do in a variety show for the 100th episode? We could have like invited back all our previous guests.
Yeah, that's something that a Korean variety show would do. Yeah.
Go over the highlights. Anyway, well, what we are planning for today, we were going to do 100 takes for 100 episodes.
Yeah.
And basically go back through our episode catalog, both to reflect and, wax nostalgic, but also maybe as a summary and jumping off point for new listeners.
Yeah.
We can just go give a quick run through of all the topics we've talked to and some of the major conclusions. So yeah, the way I wanted to format this was we'll go episode by episode, and we have to be very strict and disciplined on time. We'll each just give one take.
Okay.
Yeah, just one sentence. What do you remember? What's your takeaway from that episode? And again, actually, because we have 100 episodes, I think we'll have to break this up into two parts. So this will be officially part 1. Episodes 1 through 50 is our goal.
Yeah.
We'll see how far we get. Maybe this will be a 4-parter building up like to our 2-year reflection episode.
Yeah. The only thing that I worry about this is that I'm known to have very bad memory.
I see.
And looking back to all these past episodes, I feel like I don't remember most of the things that I talked about in the episode.
Okay.
But yeah.
I'll do my best to keep us going along.
Yeah.
I also don't remember all of them.
But I'll probably say the same things that I did mention in the episode.
That's okay.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Let's do it. Episode 1, pilot. Okay, so let me go back here. Here's what we'll do. I won't read the whole summary, But at least before, until we started using AI for our descriptions, I think we were very structured in our descriptions.
I thought that was a secret.
No, we were pretty open about it. In that the first sentence of the description or show notes was always like a very clear, concise summary. So what I'll do is I'll go back, read the episode title, first sentence, and of the show notes, and then we'll just both describe, give a reaction to it.
Okay, cool.
Episode 1, Pilot. Daniel and Jun discuss their backgrounds, the origin story of how this podcast came to be, and their goals for doing this podcast.
It's the very first recording. I just remember, wait, it should be a sentence, right?
One reflection, yeah.
I just remember back in the days, we didn't even know it's going to be a thing. It was just like a test
why
thing.
not?
We didn't even know if we're going to publish it or not. And I can't believe that we used just one mic.
One mic between us.
And we didn't have video. But then in light of this episode, I went back and listened to episode 1 and 2 like for 30 seconds or so.
Okay.
Two things come to mind. Like the audio quality isn't that bad as I expected.
Yeah.
And then the episodes are very short.
Oh, yeah.
Like episode 2 was 30 minutes. Those are my two impressions.
Yeah, I think my first reflection is we didn't have any expectations for this. For me, it was just going to be almost like a personal audio diary of my time in Korea. But yeah, just do it. Just see what happens. Why not? See where it goes. And yeah, it's been, again, I think that's what I think about very nostalgically, that first recording. I still remember it pretty explicitly. Yeah.
It kind of gave me chills right now because I never thought that this could be a diary. But like after it gets fermented. Let's say in the next, after like 10 years, and I go back and listen to the episodes, it's going to be like, tell a lot about how I thought about things back in the days. Oh, that's going to be very interesting.
It could be cringe, like, oh my gosh, what do we think or say?
Ooh, I never thought about it that way.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's how I've always thought about it.
Really?
I'm a very nostalgic, reflective person in general. But also I think, maybe I'm reading too much into it, having kids, it's kind of like in my mind, it's like, oh, they could... I'm always thinking about the next generation and the future. And just like, looking back 10 years, maybe this will be a part of a way that they can get to know their dad when he was younger. So, I don't know. Stupid that I'm getting emotional over that, but...
Oh, that's gonna be wild. The reason that I'm particularly moved by this is because I'm also a person who very frantic about trying to keep all the small memories. I keep all the receipts when I go travel abroad.
So you are nostalgic or sentimental as well.
And I used to write a diary back in the days when I was dating. Every time I dated, I used to write a diary.
Oh man, yeah.
And I go back and when I go back read those diaries, it's just like 1 or 2 sentences, right? Yeah. But it reveals so many things about things that I don't remember anymore.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
It really is like a time capsule taking you back to that time. Yeah. Now that you revealed that, Jun, we have to read one at one point on air.
It's going to be so cringe.
Yeah, that's going to be awesome. Okay. We got to move on. Episode 2. Too sweet or not too sweet? Food. Join hosts Daniel and Jun for their first full podcast episode as they discuss one of the most important topics there is. Food. Maybe we won't keep reading the summary. It might get repetitive, but all right. I guess I'll go first on this one. Yeah, I just remember when we started the podcast, there were at least 10 or 15 things I just had to get out there. And this was definitely number one. It's like, why is the food so sweet? But I think I still remember the one sentence takeaway that we had on this, which is, the food is too sweet and the desserts are not sweet enough.
Oh, I was going to say that. You stole it.
Jun, do you have anything else?
That's like one of those things that throughout the whole podcast, one like big revelation for me. That one sentence that you made like encapsulated things so well. And I sometimes when I talk to my Korean friends, I always say, oh, my friend, like my American friend Daniel describes Korean food as like the food is too sweet and the dessert is not. But I
Okay.
never, because I did know that Korean food tend to be more on the sweeter side, more specifically also in the recent days. But it really didn't register to me that not sweet dessert is a no-no.
Yeah. In
Because
Korea.
it's always a good thing
Yeah.
in Korea.
This is not too sweet.
Yeah.
Best compliment.
Yeah.
Whereas when I told you that, you were like, wait, are you saying that in a good way? I was like, oh, this is not sweet when
Yeah.
I ate dessert.
But I think as Koreans do most of the times, they're taking it too much to the extreme. So 2 weeks ago was my birthday, and someone brought a cake.
Yeah.
And that cake was like, to the point it was like the cream felt like nothing almost. Anyways.
Okay, I'll add a second one for you then.
Yeah.
I still remember the takeaway when we came to some conclusion. I guess you were shocked because you never realized that Koreans only drink water at the beginning and end of meals, not during.
Oh yeah, that one.
And then for me, I'm like, no, I'm chugging water throughout the meal. And we came to like some conclusion because like, oh, American food is still stimulating, aka salty or flavorful. You like have to drink water throughout. And then, anyway.
Yeah.
I think that was an interesting revelation. Okay. Episode 3, an ounce of prevention, healthcare. So in this episode, we discussed the differences in healthcare. I think for me, my mind was blown when I first moved here because of the 건강검진 or annual health screening that they give for free. And I think my main takeaway, again, in the title, it reflects this. It's even the concept of preventative care. Yeah, in the US, you wait till you have a symptom and then you get some sort of test. Or, of course, there are some mile markers now. Okay, when you turn 45 or whatever, get a colonoscopy. I think for women, breast cancer screening happens earlier too. But in general, you just wait till you have a symptom. I mean, it's not completely true now that I think about it. You're supposed to get an annual health checkup in the US. They do very basic blood work. But just both the breadth and depth of the preventative screening in Korea, my mind was kind of blown. I will say after having done it 4 times now, or 3, soon to do 4th, it's not as awesome as I thought.
Really?
I want to, maybe because I'm not taking advantage of some of the chuga, like additional options where I can like rotate through.
Yeah.
Now it feels a bit repetitive year over year. It's the same tests and same screening. So it's not, maybe some of the luster has worn off for me.
Yeah.
It's still awesome. Don't get me wrong. But I do wish certain things could go a little bit deeper. But yeah.
You should ask ChatGPT. Because they do have like different options that you can choose from, like option A, option B, option C or something. And then because I asked my brother, I did this last time, what should I do this year? And he like gives me a formula or something. But yeah, I don't think I talked about this during the actual recording, but right now we're going through the presidential election, and I get to know a lot about like the social problems of Korea when I see the debates. There's this term called, I think it's called pt.1 shopping.
Hospital shopping.
Yeah. Korean healthcare system is so accessible to the point where people exploit it. And there is this one person who went to the hospital 366 times a year.
Literally averaging more than once a day. Oh gosh.
But that's how good it is.
Yeah.
So
it's true.
Yeah.
All right. Number 4. Do you even lift? Beauty.
Yeah.
So we discussed cosmetic surgery as well as beauty standards.
2 things come to mind. One, I came up with the title and I was very proud of it.
Yeah, it was a very good title. Yeah. Although one of our listeners, at least one of our listeners, was very confused.
Yeah.
Because they were expecting it to be about gym lifting.
Yeah.
But it's actually about face lifting.
The second thing is, even from the time of recording to now, I think the beauty, like cosmetic procedures and surgery has become so much more accessible in Korea that even when we were recording, it wasn't a common thing to hear from my peers and friends saying that I got this and got that. Now it feels like just everyone's doing it.
All the time.
Did you see who's that Kim
Kardashian.
Kim Kardashian's mom? It's like
Mom or dad?
Mom.
Okay, yeah.
It's like something Jenner. Kris Jenner.
Kris Jenner, okay.
I don't know why. but it started showing up on my Instagram feed. She recently had like a facelift and like neck lift and like a total lift thing.
Yeah.
And she looks like she's in her 20s.
Oh, does it look good though?
It's amazing. And she's in her 70s or something.
Sometimes these things look, to me, very artificial.
It
but you're saying
doesn't. It looks very natural, and she just looks... I just want to show you the...
Crazy.
Wait, look at this. See, this is how she used to look like. And this is how she looks like now.
What? Yeah, that is wild.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah.
Whoa. Sorry, what were you talking about?
No. I remember, of course, obviously beauty standards here are quite different. Two quick takeaways. I think I was not enamored, but it always stuck out to me that Korean job applications, at least depicted in dramas and things like that, you had to attach your photo to it.
Yeah, that's a standard.
Yeah, in my mind, I'm like, you can't, that feels so wrong, right? And then the second thing was, though, I think we had this conclusion where even if at the end of the day it's the same, like in the Korea and America, both people want to lose weight to look more attractive, whatever, it's always framed in a way in America to be healthier. Whereas in Korea, they don't really say that. I think you said, no, you want to be skinny. Like there's some ideal weight you need to get to.
Yeah. Beauty weight.
Beauty weight, rather than, again, it's like more at least framed in a way that you should just be healthy in the US. Okay.
Yeah.
Episode 5. I do. Thank you. Next. It was about the wedding culture here.
Oh, yeah. I think you have something to say about it.
Yeah, I said this in a previous episode. I think at the end of this episode, in this episode, I said something like, if I never go to another Korean wedding, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
And since then, I've gone to, maybe 5 or 6 Korean weddings. And I think I've done a 180 on that. I can now appreciate Korean weddings for what they are.
Yeah.
And yeah, maybe they are more transactional. They are very formulaic.
Yeah.
And it is a wedding factory. And I think now I've come to see maybe just the good or the pros of that. And I can, now that I know what to expect, it's fine. I don't feel anything good or bad about it, let's say, when I go to one.
Yeah.
But I think it was just the contrast, not knowing what to expect.
Yeah.
And honestly, just expecting it to be more like a Western wedding ceremony.
Yeah.
And it was just like, I was completely blindsided. Like, wait, what? What is going on? It's over? Wait, the new wedding? Wait, what's going on? Like, this is not a wedding.
Yeah.
So.
I'm interested to hearing your thoughts now that you have a chance to go to a more traditional American wedding.
Yeah.
To see if you think differently. After you. Yeah. Okay.
Next episode was episode 6, Size Matters.
Yeah.
This was related to geography. And in this one, we just discussed matters of scale. And I think, again, South Korea being the size of Indiana, but with the population of California, Washington State, and Oregon combined. So, what does this kind of density, how does it impact daily life? And I think, this was one of my other big conclusions, where it's things like just the size of Korea. I think the furthest distance in Korea is measured by Seoul to Busan, and whatever that is, that
300 something
300 kilometers,
yeah,
4-hour car ride.
Yeah.
Like that's the furthest you travel in Korea for anything.
Yeah.
Like 1 hour flight. And just, in reference to America, where East Coast to West Coast is 6 hours.
Yeah.
And driving, 4 hours is like a weekend trip. Or
Yeah.
I've even done day trips 4 hours one way.
I know.
4 hours back.
Yeah.
And just that was normalized,
Yeah.
right? Because the US is so big. So
I think I brought it up during the episode, but I did reflect on my time in the States when I was living in Boston.
Yeah.
And I used to do day trips to New
York, right? Yeah,
which
yeah,
is
yeah.
literally, I think, farther than Seoul to Busan, right? So it's like interesting how like quickly you adjust to that scale.
Yeah.
But yeah.
that is one of the meta themes here. Just the culture. You can't avoid the culture. When I first moved here, June, we have a grocery store maybe, 15-minute walk away. I walked there every time, lugged the groceries back, right? It was heavy, but I was like, I'm not driving 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I think after the first year, I just drove whenever I need to go get groceries now.
Because it feels farther.
It feels far and cumbersome. I'm not going to walk 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Whereas before, I was like, I'm not going to drive 5 minutes, right? And so I remember one of the other moms that we got to know pretty well. She was like, well, why are you walking to the grocery? I never walk. And I was like, you're lazy, like blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I'm going to walk. It's close. If it's walking distance, I'm walking. But I think when it comes to groceries, it's just anyway. I've done a complete 180 here.
Okay, let's move on to episode 7.
Okay, won't you be my neighbor? Yes, relationships. Oh, you can announce too if you want.
Oh yeah, this was I remember this one because it started with this suspense with my new neighbor
who has since moved out. Yeah.
Yeah. Wait, what was the suspense about? That we occasionally run into each other, but we don't talk. What was that about?
Well, okay. This was my favorite episode for a long time because of the intro and the suspense. To me, the suspense was you have this neighbor that is living like a very similar life to you. You suspected they were in tech, right? They got the same things delivered.
Yeah.
And like your immediate next door neighbor. I was like, that's kind of fun and exciting, no? And like, but you were like, no.
Yeah.
And I thought it would be a recurring thing, like as you know, we can always imagine what your neighbor's life is like. And anyway, like eventually you'll meet them, maybe you'll become friends.
Yeah.
Like ongoing neighbor drama, I thought could be a recurring storyline in our podcast.
Yeah. Ever since then, I think, someone else moved in. And we sometimes run into each other in the hallway.
Oh, your new neighbor.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Never say hi.
I'm sorry. It still just throws me for a loop.
Yeah.
That's so cold to me. But I get it.
Yeah.
Kind of. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, how's your relationship with your neighbor now?
That's okay. This is a very long thing. I wanted to play a game with you actually, because now we've had new neighbors. You know, before we had this amazing, like, their kids are in their late 20s.
Yeah.
So a little bit older, maybe 10 years ahead of us, 20 years ahead of us, but Korean-American couple. And they since moved. But the new neighbor since then, maybe 4 months. Yeah, I just want to bring out, like, all these things, and I want you to guess what they're like. Yeah. Because I have not met them either.
Okay.
But we see their deliveries.
Yeah.
Like, at one point, they had, like, 10 of those flower bouquets that you kind of, you know, a restaurant opening, like flowers. So clearly they were someone important and or something big, a big milestone was being commemorated.
Wait, they put it in front of their house?
No, not the like gigantic one, but like a small potted plant.
Really?
But with like a congratulatory planted flower. Like, oh, something big happened. I don't know. So I wanted to ask you what would warrant that.
I've never seen something like that.
They
must be someone.
They get the Chosun Ilbo delivered still every day. But I think that would be a fun game, right? Like here's the 10. It's like a detective thing. Here's the 10 things I know about them. Describe what you would guess they're like. Yeah.
I love it.
Okay. All right, moving on. Do you want to introduce episodes?
Yes. This episode 8 was called Everywhere Bagels, where we talk about trends. Yeah. And actually, the trends episode is one of my favorite episodes every time. This is one of the few topics that in daily life, if I find something, I would jot it down to talk about in the next trends next trends episode. But this was our first trends episode where we talked about, obviously, bagels, I think. When bagels were very trending back then. It's still it didn't go away. Yeah. But I think there's a second wave of bagel trends now.
Oh, really?
Because I think it's a trend for tourists visiting Korea to visit all those like very like trendy spots. And that quote unquote London Bagel Museum is like the must go. Spot. A place that you have to go. So it's meeting its second trend of wave of trend. But yeah.
I feel like it got replaced a bit with sokumpang, salt bread.
Sokumpang, yeah.
I feel like that's the more trendy baked good right now.
But I think that also was fueled by like TikTokers. Tourist TikTokers, yeah.
You know, when we first did this episode, it was not actually going to be explicitly about trends, but it became a recurring episode theme.
Yeah.
We were more exploring like why things go crazy viral and trending in Korea.
Yeah.
And one thing I remember from this June is the term open run. Yeah, it's become a staple of my wife and I's vocabulary.
Open run? I hate it.
Costco open run, you definitely have to go 30 minutes early.
Everything, just like everything in Korea is so scarce in resource.
Open run.
Open run.
Okay.
Did I tell you one of my friends who's into tennis?
Oh, you told me.
There's this app that like
To
soap and
reserve,
run.
yeah.
Just like you were when you were trying to get your
My
sneakers.
sneakers, yeah.
But he does it like every week
For tennis.
for reserving the tennis court.
I'm surprised tennis is still staying. It has some
I
staying
know, right?
power. I
Yeah.
thought tennis would be long gone.
Yeah. And I'm also surprised that pickleball hasn't been a trend here.
I'm a bit surprised by that.
Yeah.
But wait, is tennis actually still here, or is it just like your friend is just really into it still?
It's not as a hype as it was before, but still, I'm surprised that it has like some staying power. Yeah.
I feel like this has been replaced with like the health gym craze.
Uh-huh.
Like just gyms are going crazy.
Is it?
No,
Is it a trend?
I think so.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
why? Because it.
I just
Why
see
all
them
of a sudden?
everywhere.
Really?
I think it's gonna fade. It has to fade. The
Interesting.
health center, gym, fitness craze. Let's see. All right, episode 9, the 80-hour school week, education. Yeah, and we were talking about again a very big one, which could warrant 10 episodes, which is education. Yeah, I remember from this, just I guess my mind being blown around how different schooling seemed, your high school experience in particular with compared to mine. The one thing I remember was Korean schools, I think everyone basically took the same classes together. There was not huge variability in basically taking more advanced classes or less advanced classes. Whereas in the US, it's like I think all about that, customizing your own schedule, trying to place you in the math or reading or whatever level that you best fit into. And just the more idea of like making sure everyone gets kind of a similar education, whereas I think in America the goal is everyone gets maybe their best education.
I see.
Right? It's just this general theme of maybe raising the floor of outcomes versus maximizing the ceiling of outcomes.
To me, it goes back to like customization and individualism, right? That concept of you creating your own curriculum. Koreans only experience it first time in college.
Yeah.
And then before that, you all get the same education. Yeah, but it's just like how there's so many customizations in restaurants, right? You have to design your own curriculum, and it has to cater to your own interests and needs. I think it's a very individualistic way of thinking. Yeah.
And this was mostly triggered, I think, because it was Sunyoung week or something. And it was ridiculous in a sense that they stop flights or reroute flights during that Sunyoung window. Like that's how seriously this is taken. All right, episode 10, water is self, daily life. Yeah, this was our first of the just general daily life topics. So let's see. Things that came up in this episode were things around recycling, the self-serve system at restaurants, wet bathrooms versus dry bathrooms. Oh, dryers. Okay. Yeah, I think, Jun, I think this one is the first episode where I finally got to dump just like a lot of these small things I had been thinking of. Yeah. Right? And it does transport me back to maybe my fresh eyes from when I first moved to Korea, right? Where I was still like, wet bathrooms, it must cause this, and it's more moldy, and maybe the light fixtures are on the outside to prevent short circuiting. And this is why the toilet roll things all have covers on them. Just like all these things started to like click for me. And anyway, it's just like, that's what I remember from it. This is really taking me back to things that that stood out to me, that now these are the things I don't even recognize anymore as different. So.
This is also the first time when I realized a lot of things that I didn't even realize because it was so normalized for me. Like the fact that the switches are on the outside for the bathroom, it didn't even register to me before. And like that cover for the toilet paper, I thought it was like a thing that every bathroom had, right? But it makes sense. Yeah. So crazy. And I think that's one of the great things about this podcast is that not only understanding each other's culture, but it gets you to understand your culture better as well through someone else's lens.
Oh, totally. I think I've also come to question and understand American culture more deeply because you point out things I never thought about or knew myself. So. All right.
Cool. Episode 11, I See Old People. I think this is another daily life episode, but the opposite is because I think this is when either me or you traveled to the States. Yeah. And then came back and talked about things that we realized about the States. Was it me or you?
I forget.
Anyways.
Wait, we have it. This week, Jun and Daniel continue the theme from last week, but this time they take it stateside. Listen in as Jun takes Daniel on a journey of the senses. This was not in response to a trip, but this was just like, I think you were
I didn't actually go.
The feel of what is the feel of shoes on carpet? I think was one of them.
And then like the scent of like soil or something, or grass,
earthy soil.
I liked how I framed it with the senses, because that's like something that immediately hits you after you land in American soil. But yeah, specifically, I remember seeing a lot of old people
out and
about. And also, I think this is something else, but I think I mentioned this when I go to some other country, I realize how there are a lot of young people as well. So yeah.
This one, I think, in response to what we talked about earlier, was maybe the first episode, I think, where I started to reflect more on America more than Korea. And I was like, I guess that's true. For example, just a reflection of like, I guess I do see more older people out and about and intermingling with just like everyday life in American society. There's a big spectrum of ages. And I think in particular, I remember you referencing like the feel of shoes on carpet, which I think is true. Like you just see carpet a lot more places, not just inside homes, but in like lobbies and hotels. There's like carpets everywhere. Whereas in Korea, I think they tend to keep it more hygienic and just stick with hardwood and things like that. So okay, episode 12, don't go Mong. Just, the punchline, one of the worst jokes ever, but this was related to humor. I think I just remember being introduced to a lot of different vocabulary in this one. In particular, now every time I see gag or gag man, I know exactly what they're referring to. But in general, I still remember there was one semi-traumatic moment in my early working career where my manager at the time was very sarcastic to my dad, and my parents just didn't get it. It was borderline offensive to them, and just realizing like, oh my gosh, I don't think my parents understand sarcasm, which is like probably
Did they just take it in face value? They thought it was offensive.
I don't know if you remember this, but my parents were visiting my workplace. My manager was like, "Oh yeah, you're Daniel's parents." Like, "Oh yeah, nobody likes him around here." And my parents were like, "What? What?" And I'm just like, "Oh, they don't get it." So
I think sarcasm is a very specifically American humor thing.
Right? I think it has British origins.
British, yes.
They're like incredibly sarcastic.
Comparing The Office, like the original version of Office, and then the American one. I think humor is one of those things that it's very hard to be translated across cultures. And I think Korea has a very specific humor sense.
I also, looking at this one too, I never really got slapstick humor. Like Will Ferrell movies, etc. It's like all my friends loved it, and I was like, I laughed along. Extending that a bit further, I like this podcast because sometimes I get to share, like one of the most important things that is core to me is like being known, and I get to express my honest and authentic opinions like that, which I don't know if I've ever shared with other people. So I really don't like Will Ferrell movies, but I would always just laugh along because my friends seem to like it. So another nice part of the podcast.
Okay, moving on. Episode 13 is called Nerd Beauty. And it was specifically about cultures. And I think it started from the fact that, like, Daniel, you found it fascinating that nerd could be, like, being nerdy could be, like, a good thing in Korea. 너드미. Oh, yeah. The title comes from, it's a direct translation of 너드미.
너드미.
Yeah,
this was mind-blowing to me, actually. This was one of those conversations I think I hopefully never forget. It was with an intern at my previous workplace. And I just remember, we got into this conversation about being nerdy. And it just blew my mind that nerd or nerdy being too smart in a sense could never be a bad thing in Korea.
Yeah.
And in my mind, it's always been a bad thing in America.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just one of those original, just like mind blowing, like what culture and societies are so different. Yeah.
I wonder if because like nerd is becoming such a generally a good thing in Korea, like that specific word 너드
Yeah.
is never a bad thing. Almost, it's always a good thing almost like now in Korea after like that word has been like a trend word. I wonder if Koreans sometimes go to the States and offend people saying like, oh, you're nerdy.
Yeah. Again, I think the more affectionate term that means 90% the same is just dork.
Yeah.
It's a dork, dorky. Yeah. But nerdy, I think it might be changing too. But
is
still,
it?
I don't think it's a good
Oh,
thing.
there's a you sense the change.
I don't know if it's just because I've been here so long.
Yeah.
But okay, in general, I think in American society, and again, my wife reflected on this too, because there was that movie 22 Jump Street where like the people who were really cool in high school in the 80s and 90s go back to modern high school and they're no longer cool. Because it used to be the hyper macho masculine jocks making fun of people, school bullies, like that was the really cool person.
Yeah.
But in modern society, it's more like Tom Holland, and who was it? Timothy Chalamet. Chalamet. Right? Like they're not super buff. They're kind of like a little bit more effeminate, right?
Yeah.
So I think in line with that general movement, being nerdy has become maybe less of a bad thing. But I would be surprised if being a nerd is still a good thing. Yeah.
I wonder if it, like that, like the tech scene has played a part in this, because a lot of the innovation that drives American economy and everything is done by the nerds.
Jun, I think Mark Zuckerberg, as the poster child for this, has very different, let's say, what's the right word, reputations or likability scores in Korea versus America.
Really? So you're saying he's generally hated?
Yes, yeah.
Because of his nerdiness?
No. Because he's a mega rich, ultra billionaire who is, in general, kind of unnatural in how he talks publicly before his recent glow up. Yeah.
But also look at like Sam Altman. he can't be
hated in the U.S. right now.
Because of his nerdiness, or
because of anyone who is that
thing.
Successful? Yeah, exactly. And seemingly, let's say, out of touch.
Yeah.
I think big tech has a very different reputation in the US versus Korea.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Episode 14. Don't press my buttons. This was specifically in regards to, it was another kind of daily life-ish type things, but it was regarding manners and common courtesy. So holding doors open, asking someone to press an elevator button for you is what the title was in reference to.
Yeah.
Personal space and boundaries and expectations therein. Commenting on physical appearance, weight, etc. So basic manners and politeness and common courtesy differences between the two cultures. So,
man, these episodes back then were very like big.
Yeah, because I was unloading 2 years worth of thoughts and insights.
Manners, yeah. Do you feel any different now after? Because it's been like at least a year or so, or 2 years?
2 years almost, yeah. I think I definitely have acclimated to the local culture, but there's still certain instances that happen that stand out to me. Even like, I think 2 weeks ago, I was, leaving a subway and the person in front of me, like two in front of me, they didn't hold the door open. That's fine. But the person right in front of me, they did this like quick dart in and out to avoid even touching the door.
Yeah.
And like literally to the point where like it almost, I didn't expect it, right?
Yeah.
So I thought they would also do their normal like hold the door for them to get through.
Yeah.
But not for me, that's fine.
Yeah.
But it was so abrupt where they like darted in and out, so they didn't have to touch the door.
Yeah.
And for me, it's just like literally almost smacked me in the face.
Yeah.
So it still happens certain times where it's like that.
I think that's just like bad manners, to be honest with you.
Darting in and out, yeah.
Even in Korean standards. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's one thing. The other thing is I still sometimes like not spitting into the grass or grassy area. I'm out with my kids a lot and I see a lot of like spit marks and loogies and things like that in the middle of the sidewalk. Just like, I mean, it's so much, it's literally there's grass like a foot away.
Yeah.
Can you just spit into the grass?
Yeah.
Like that's so much better. But yeah, it's just small things like that I
Yeah.
guess I've gotten completely used to it. I definitely don't get it. I don't think I ever got offended by it per se, but I was just so confused by it. But I think now I definitely have come to at least understand it.
One thing that I want to mention here is that workplace manners is very different in the U.S. compared to Korea.
Okay.
Because ever since the recording, I had a chance and still experience a lot of that intermingling within the office between the different cultures. Like, because we have a U.S. office, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of the times, Korean people are so shocked by how abrupt and blunt the way that they're communicating. And it actually is causing like some substantial issues just because of that communication issue.
Yeah.
It could be an individual thing, but it could also be a cultural thing as well.
Yeah.
Because I remember also asking you, like, oh, like my US coworker said this. Like, do you think it's like, it's common to say this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so workplace manners and culture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, which brings us to the next episode.
Okay, you bring it up.
Yeah, episode 15 is titled Blue Blooded, and this is where we explored really into like the work culture in Korea, and specifically Blue Blooded, I think, is referring to Samsung men.
Oh wait, men specifically?
Well, we call it
Oh,
Samsung
salary
men.
men.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Samsung
yeah.
men,
Okay,
as in
okay,
like
okay.
someone who's working at
Yeah,
Samsung.
yeah. Yes, okay. June, I think this was the first episode where we explored, I think, one of the biggest differences in work culture, where employment in Korea has typically been thought of as for life. And literally, it's almost impossible to fire someone in Korea.
Yeah.
The company either has to be going bankrupt or that employee has to have broken the law.
Yeah.
Apart from that,
or if the company can prove that the employee and subject has damaged them financially substantially.
oh, I didn't know that third part, but
Yeah,
I
yeah.
thought it was the first two only.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, in my American mind, I'm like, wait, what? Why does everyone just not work hard at all and do bare minimum and get by?
Yeah.
And in fact, it seems like the opposite is happening in Korea, where everyone's working even harder. How can this be?
Yeah.
So yeah, this was one of those this is one of the moments where I was just like, again, my American mind was like, what's going on? How can this be?
Yeah.
But I realized America is one of very few countries in the world that has this at-will employment expectation, where either side can just quit or fire them for almost no reason at any point. So, yeah, just how does that impact work? Where, promotions also tend to be very tenure-based, based on time, not necessarily performance.
Yeah.
Right, which again is very counter to the culture that I was growing up in America. So, and again, I think one of the promptings for this episode was I remember our previous intern at our company, they had gotten a job offer at Samsung. We can say Samsung, right?
Yeah.
Was going to the Samsung boot camp for all of the group new hires, which sounds very fun. And as far as today, I think 2 years later, they're still there and seemingly thriving. So again,
you checked their LinkedIn?
not really, but I just assume. Still happy for you, Jay. All right. Next episode.
Episode 16, the parasol grid. I think it was in align with the season back then, because it was like the travel season in summer, which is coming up very soon right now, where we talked about the different cultures in traveling. Yeah, parasol grid is referring to that parasol gridded pattern of parasols you see in Korean beaches.
Yeah, I think the thing here was like, why does everyone seem to... We were trying to highlight differences in travel, like where people go to, etc.
Yeah.
And what are some famous travel destinations intra-Korea, like within Korea. And I think one thing that stood out for me was just even that concept of trends extending to, let's say, travel destinations. Because one of the things I love about being in Korea, being based here, is there's so many places you can travel to. Again, if you're willing to fly 5 to 7 hours, it's like probably 15 countries. And within those countries, a bunch of different things to explore and do. Whereas again, in America, if you're willing to fly 5 to 7 hours, you can just go to Mexico or Canada. But yeah.
Oh, never. I never thought about it that way. 'Cause Americans, they don't have a lot of places to travel in a short distance.
Yeah.
Interesting.
This episode, we also talked about our love for the 휴게소s, right? The rest areas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like a random
boring.
thing, but I just like stumbled upon this reels because like the famous 휴게소 food is that like the little potato things. And I saw one reels where I think this is an American was shocked by the fact that you put sugar on the potato.
Oh.
How do you feel about that?
Yeah, that's weird. You put butter and sour. You can, load it.
Have you ever had those? Like those mini potato things?
I don't know exactly what you're talking about.
Oh, you don't?
I think, but
Yeah.
growing up in the 80s,
Yeah.
my parents would put sugar on the boiled potato they gave me.
Oh, they did.
So
you
I
know
was
what it's
I
like.
was accustomed to dipping my potato, my warm, so delicious, my warm potato in both butter but also sugar.
Similarly, one eye-opening moment for me was when my family learned that you can put cream cheese on steamed potatoes.
Oh, so good.
So
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
Let's see. Episode 17, Hold the Onions.
Yes.
So the episode title is in reference to customization and why restaurants are so hesitant and or do not offer any customization.
Yeah.
Whereas, in America, of course, you can customize anything to your heart's content and pretty much the restaurant has to comply. But actually, I think the first thing that triggered this episode this is the first time I think I came to the conclusion that Koreans are really all about obeying the letter of the law, but not the spirit of the law. Whereas in America, you tend to try to abide by the spirit of the law and don't care as much about obeying the letter of the law. And I think, why is this and what are the implications of this? Yeah, I think this, as I've lived here longer, I think maybe Koreans are not so compliant with the letter of the law. I think they're also maybe sometimes trying to find loopholes and workarounds. I think I've realized that more. But I guess sometimes I still am a bit taken aback by how black and white the rules are. For example, just yesterday we were eating at a restaurant and the size of the jjajangmyeon bowls were very big.
Yeah.
And so I ordered one each for my kids. I should have ordered one for them to split. But at the end, we literally had almost a full order left over. And I was like, oh, can you wrap this up? I want to do a takeout. And they're like, oh, you can't do takeout for noodles. I was like, oh, just for noodles. Can I do takeout for something else? And they were like, sure. And I'm just like, wait, what is the difference? Because we had leftover 탕수육. In my mind, I was like, wait, what is the difference between doing takeout for that, but not for the noodles? Like, it just didn't make sense to me. And so I didn't even question it. I was like, well, I am annoyed. This is such a waste of food. I want to take it back. But okay, I'm not even going to push back. Let's just move on.
Why is that?
Come on, right?
Yeah, why
It
is that?
doesn't make sense.
One thing comes to mind is that because noodles tend to 불어. You know what 불어 means?
That's my decision.
Yeah, right?
Right? Like, why would they not allow me to take the noodles takeout? And specifically, I think they said noodles and rice. You can't wrap those to go.
Interesting.
Anyway,
Yeah.
it made no sense.
Yeah.
But those are one of those things, like, it literally, I don't think it makes sense. But I'm not going to push back. They're not going to give in. Black and white. I get it. Yeah.
I think I wanted to mention like that lack of customization, and the reason for that is again like the homogeneity of the taste that people have. I think one of the virtues that I recently recognized for that is that we can achieve efficiency.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Remember that time, like, I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks ago when we were trying to order, like, substitute the milk and some latte for oat milk because they had an oat milk latte menu.
Yes. So clearly they have oat milk.
Yeah. They said no. And it was because they said they pre-make
Pre-mixed
everything.
it.
So that, like, kind of achieves efficiency.
No, totally.
In some level. Yeah.
To further add, there's a new Mexican restaurant in Hyundai Becca Jia and the basement food court at Hyundai department store. And they offer pretty much, full customization.
Oh, nice.
Oh my gosh, June. Admittedly, we ordered pretty soon after the opening, so the employees were not, super fast yet.
Yeah.
Literally it took me about 30 minutes.
Yeah.
In Korea. That's an eternity.
Yeah.
Right? Like people were upset. It took not only a super long time, but they got it completely wrong.
They're not used to the customization.
They're not used to it.
Yeah.
So.
So 18. Episode 18 is the one with all the 90s references, and this is the first time we attempted to do media. It's not specifically a media review per se, but talk about like media in general.
I don't know what triggered this, but let's see. This was a really fun episode. Okay, the thing that stands out for me is that I think this was the first time we tried to add in extras into the video. So, right, like you put in different sound clips and very short video excerpts and clips related to the different TV shows and things that we were referencing. So, I think the one thing that I still remember from this was you mentioned that there was a Korean, like one of the 5 channels you had growing up was the American channel.
Yeah, AFKN.
Yeah, that's crazy, right? Like, again, even still thinking about it. Growing up, I also had 5 TV channels. So you had 5 TV channels, and one of them was an American TV channel.
Yeah.
So just showing just how maybe deeply integrated, even more so than I thought, that English culture was, American culture was in Korea, even in the 80s.
I wonder why that is, because I'm pretty sure AFKN still, you can watch AFKN in the base. But maybe they didn't have the technology back then to
block it
outside of the country.
That makes sense, right? Yeah.
But it was cool because it was like a compilation of all the
best hits.
Yeah, because they had like Soul Train and then Sesame Street.
Yeah.
All combined in one channel. Yeah.
The other thing I realized, I think, thinking about this episode was, because you were in the U.S. from ages 6 to 8, right?
Yeah.
We had surprisingly similar references. Not only, I think, because of that AFKN, English American channel, but also you just happened to be in the U.S. in the same time I was. We're almost exactly the same age. So
yeah. Cool.
Oh yeah. Sorry. One other thing I remember from this, you asked me who my favorite Friends character was.
Yeah.
And then you were like, we had moved on, and then you were like, wait. Don't you want to ask me?
I'm surprised you remember that.
No, I think, and this was the first time I reflected on, because I was doing all the post-processing, I think I really started to realize how much I interrupted you and talked over you. I'd like to believe we got to a better balance.
I think so.
But
I didn't even realize that to begin with, actually.
Me neither.
Yeah.
It just felt very natural.
Okay.
Episode 19, The Devil Wears Kodak. Yeah, oh man, this one, I don't know if people have been wearing these brands less. For example, Kodak, Discovery, National Geographic, clothing brands, or I just don't realize it as much. This one completely doesn't stand out to me anymore.
Oh, it doesn't?
I don't see these brands as often, or if I do, it doesn't catch my eye anymore.
You know what I see in this realm, a new trend is American universities. Did you see like
Isn't it
Yale?
Just Yale? Yale, I think, is there more than Yale?
I saw Harvard.
I didn't see Harvard.
Yeah.
I see Yale everywhere now. Yeah.
But I did, after recording this episode, I did do like light research on why this is happening.
Yeah.
And this is like a very interesting mechanism of how like these sort of like outdated brands make money by just like selling the IP to some like random Korean fashion brand. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this definitely stood out to me a ton. I remember when I first moved here.
Yeah.
Because again, Jeep, National Geographic, these are not clothing brands.
Pan Am.
Yeah. But yeah, it was, again, you see people wearing these brands everywhere now. So yeah, I don't know if these brands have become less popular or I don't even realize that it doesn't stand out to me.
I think they have.
I see.
Yeah.
Interesting. Cool. But I think, this was also the first time I explored the fact that athleisure is not very common here.
Yeah.
And again, my common uniform almost walking around daily life in the US is basketball shorts and a t-shirt. But when I wear that around now, I just feel so out of place because no one's wearing that unless you're at the gym.
But I do feel that there's a growing trend in Korea to wear athleisure wear.
Totally.
I see a lot of people just wearing their leggings.
Yeah.
Which is was a big no-no in Korea.
Yeah.
But I see that a lot. Maybe it's because there are a lot of like Korean Americans in this neighborhood, but I do see that a lot. Yeah.
I would have root caused it as two things. One, the growing health craze, like health and fitness craze. So gyms are everywhere. People are going to the gym a lot more. And then two, I think maybe Koreans are realizing these legging brands are not cheap.
They're not.
Alo.
And therefore I can wear it outside.
Exactly. Lululemon. Like people
Yeah.
now recognize these. Oh, those are expensive pants.
Yeah.
Now you can wear them. Okay.
Episode 20, there's a Korean app for that. It was us exploring a little bit of tech, like the digital applications that Koreans use versus Americans. And I remember this was the first time, I don't know if this was the first video that we did video.
No.
Was it not?
We've been doing video for a while.
But I definitely recognize this is the first time one of our shorts became a bit viral.
Yeah. That's what I remember from
on
this
TikTok.
too.
Yeah.
You did like Google, Naver.
Yeah.
this. Yeah. Uber, Kakao Taxi.
Yeah.
This has not gone away from me. I still have like bang my head on the keyboard moments every time I try to use a Korean app. Recently, home tax, like all these things.
Oh, did you?
The home tax app is fine, to be clear.
Yeah.
Oh, I resolved my Korean taxes.
Okay.
But yeah, so to be clear, I still get crazy frustrated using and signing up for things and logging into things in Korea. Yeah, that has not gone away. But yeah, I also, June, remember like the excitement of like one of our reels going viral. And not really viral. It reached like I think 10,000 views.
Yeah.
Which, you know,
was very exciting at the time.
At the time, it felt like super exciting. So I think this was the first time, that taste of our content getting more popular. So,
yeah.
And I have to say, at least, I don't know if this is ignorance or whatever, or if just like the algorithms for me have changed. But back then, I think Korean culture content was not so common. Now it's just flooded and inundated with Korean creators. But I feel like back then it was still pretty new.
Yeah, it's like I think a recent trend sort of blew up, or maybe again it's my algorithm too, but it shows up a lot in my feed.
This episode, by the way, was released November 24th, 2023, just to give people a reference.
Wow.
So, about 1.5 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, Korean content has just exploded on the internet. Okay, episode 21, Korean Americano.
Cafe culture.
Yes, cafe culture.
These topics are so big. Yeah.
This, for me, I still remember making all the connections around like, this is a big one, I think, because again, people don't invite or hang out in each other's homes that much in Korea. And so what does that lead to? Well, you have to meet somewhere.
Yeah.
And where is that place going to be? Cafe or a bang or something, right? And so just making those connections as to why that culture exists, cafe culture. So whether it's PC bangs or board game rooms or just, you know, cafes to hang out with, study cafes, like all these things. Why is that the case? And it all makes sense once you think about it. But for me, it all comes back to that root thing, which is, people don't hang out or invite people to each other's homes that much.
This trend is also accelerated or influenced the way that Korean apartment layouts are evolving. I learned that recent apartments are designed in a way that, for instance, back in the days, if you say like a 30평 apartment, you understand there are going to be 3 rooms or something.
Oh, really?
Now they say that they have like 4 rooms for a 30평 apartment, meaning that they decrease the size of the living room.
Yeah. And to squeeze in more bedrooms.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it really reflects this culture of not inviting people into your apartment and just like using all of that to go outside to a cafe or something room. Yeah.
This one I think is still, I'm still very conflicted about it. Like sometimes when we're entertaining or meeting visitors or guests from America, it's like I know I should be inviting them to come over and hang out from an American culture perspective. But it's now become a little bit more foreign, and I'm almost careful in doing so. Where it's just like, or, you know, for example, we had one of our daughter's friends come over for a play date. When the mom comes in to pick her up, she doesn't leave like the shoe area.
Oh, she's just there?
Yeah, well, I think that's very common and the expectation in Korean culture.
Oh.
But like in America, that would be seen as so rude. Come in, sit down, have a drink, have tea, whatever. At least offer it, right? But now we don't even offer. So yeah, this is one of those things where I've definitely become used to it and accustomed to it. But yeah, I was definitely, again, one of the starkest differences, I think, culturally when we first moved here.
I see. Episode 22 is called Korean Pizza, and this is where we talk about the franchise restaurants.
All the franchises.
What was specific about this? I remember that we talking about pizza specifically, and I mentioned that Korean pizza is a different genre, and you can't compare it to American pizza specifically. Yeah. But it has become very Americanized recently.
What has franchises?
Pizza.
Oh, pizza.
Yeah.
There's so many more, let's say, American style, which is not even Italian style, right?
Yeah.
American style
American
pizza.
style, yeah.
Very salty, super heavy on the cheese.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. They're quite common now. What was the answer to this question? What Korean chain did Daniel's coworker? Oh, Paris Spaghetti. Okay. Yeah, I will forever still remember that.
I heard that they're blowing up in the States.
It's becoming popular.
Yeah, Korean bakery.
I mean, even
chains.
before I moved here, they were a lot around.
Are they okay with the not sweet? The not sweetness.
I wonder if they customize it. You know, Paris baguettes in Paris are totally different than Paris baguettes.
That's
in
like
Korea.
a flagship, right?
Yeah. So they definitely tried to customize to the local flavor profiles and expectations.
Do you know that donut called knotted?
Yes, of course. Yeah.
It's like a very popular hotspot in LA right now.
Yeah.
They opened up a slot.
Knotted is good. I like knotted.
It's
very sweet.
Is it?
Yeah.
I don't think it's sweet for American standards.
Oh, I know, for Korean standards. I think it fits right into American taste.
I see.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. Yeah, this was recorded before Tim Hortons actually first launched in Korea. Yeah. Oh, I guess one thing I'll say in reflection before we move on. I guess I don't even think twice or really honestly care that much when an American franchise now opens up in Korea.
Really?
Yeah.
What was the recent one?
Five Guys.
Five Guys.
At least the one that opened up near us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's like, oh, cool. But there's enough of them already, I guess. It's just one more.
There was a burger craze at some point.
Yeah, nothing particularly unique anymore.
Yeah.
Although I will say, do we go to Five? I say we go to that Five Guys about as much as I'd expected. Probably once every 2-3 months we'll go.
Yeah. Interesting. I think the trend now is to import Japanese brands, because I see a lot of like this Japanese brand started launching in Korea, blah 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 these days. Yeah.
Okay. Like what? What's an example?
Like there's a famous clothing brand called Beams. They're recently launching in Korea. Yeah.
I wonder if the Korean domestic market's now big enough to like incentivize this, or like what do you think might be driving that?
If it is, it's like the peak. I think generally Koreans now tend to have more interest, or like okay with having interest to Japanese culture.
It's become more acceptable.
Yeah.
Is that reflective of the current political climate too?
I think so. It has to be. Or I don't know.
Interesting.
I think just like the current generation are too detached to the history now that they're just like
era.
okay. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Episode 23 was called A Drinking Occasion. Food and drink. And this was the first dive into drinking culture here in Korea.
These topics are so good that I almost want to go back
and revisit.
like starting from episode 101, like just to do it again.
Updated version. Yeah, these are good.
Yeah, drinking.
Put my 포장마차 fantasy.
Was this before or after I actually took you to a 포장마차?
Maybe it was in response to it, to be honest. Sounds about right timing wise.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay, the one thing I'll bring up is I think this might have triggered it too. I went to a very traditional heshik, so Korean work.
That was a very traditional heshik.
So
although
funny.
I wasn't there, I know who the people are.
It was just like to a T.
Yeah.
Super formulaic and textbook,
Yeah.
right? I'll describe it again because it's just such a funny image.
Yeah.
The two most junior members, they were on grill duty.
Yeah.
So they were like constantly like cutting the meat so meticulously, even cutting off the like slightly burnt parts.
Yeah.
Like whenever I see that, I'm like, that's too much. But they were like so meticulously and diligently cutting the meat.
Yeah.
And then the two middle people were responsible for drinks.
Yeah.
So they were like constantly making sure everyone's classes was full, mixing the drinks, making people make sure, their classes were topped off. And then, the most senior people were just like chilling back, doing nothing.
Yeah. It was such a very typical scene that even I haven't experienced that much but I know that it must be a typical like Korean workplace heshik because they're mostly from like a traditional Korean conglomerate, right? And very male dominant also. Yeah,
it was all men. And then again, in between first round and second round, one or two people dropped off.
Yeah.
But then the second place was chicken jeep.
Chicken.
So we went to the chicken place. And then, everyone left after we didn't do like Norebang round 3. But that was such a classic heshik scene for me.
Oh, and we talked about like the drinking games as well.
A little bit,
Robbins.
Before we got in Titanic. Oh, I love that, by the way, our show notes again, before we fully switched over to the AI era, every week there was a bit of stress getting the description, which was completely hand done, and titles. Yeah. Right? But I do, looking back, appreciate, I think, the amount of depth and thought that went into this. We always left the show notes with like what is it? Something, an unanswered question that hopefully got you to listen. This one was, Jun describes one of his favorite drinking experiences in Korea that is not possible in America. But now you don't remember what that was.
Is that like going to 1차, 2차, 3차? No, mate, that's not it, right?
I don't know.
Oh, walking to a 2차 place?
Oh, I know what it is. I remember now.
What is it?
Basically drinking beer on Hangang and like open air drinking.
Just
like that scene on the Han River, everyone's drinking beer, and just like enjoying drinking outside. Although I believe they change that recently.
I heard that there are attempts to regulate the drinking thing outside, but these are one of the things that feel very foreign to me when I know that something is regulated in the States, but it's not in Korea, which is usually not the case.
You put the paper bag. Oh, I see. Yeah. Usually Korea is more regulated than America. Yeah.
I think we can go up to 30.
Let's see.
Yeah. Episode 24 is titled Dork with Strengths. And I think this is where we deep dive into the slangs and the trending words of Korea. We did it one by one, right?
Yeah, this was so much fun. And we were like, we were originally going to do, millennial slang, and then get to Gen Z, Gen A slang. Yeah. But we never got that far. Yeah. And we never revisited. Yeah, I think mostly because there's a lot of prep work involved.
Yeah. Oh my God, you know what comes to mind after seeing the descriptions? Like all of these things that I brought up during this episode, saying that this is like the most trending word.
They're all gone.
Feels so outdated. No one says 폼 미쳤다 anymore. Wow, interesting. 너무 돼. It's also sounds very outdated.
Outdated already. Yeah. Yeah. I think even the English words too. I'd agree. On fleek, ghosting. Yeah. But this was a very fun episode, I remember. And we always wanted to do some continuations, but we never did. We should revisit. Yeah, that would be fun. Cool. Episode 25. Our first ever 2023 year-end wrap-up. Summary. Which I coined as a summary. Yeah. Which combining which is a rap, and summary, which no one got. But I'm still proud of it. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
I think we can skip this because this is already
a reflection on a reflection.
Yeah.
Okay. The only thing I'll say is when I think of this episode, I also think of our 2024 wrap up episode, which reflecting the contrast between the end of 2023 and the end of 2024. That was before our podcast, I think, had maybe taken off a bit. So I don't know. It was nice thinking about the low expectations and even blowing those very low expectations out, and yet thinking about how much bigger it would still become. Yeah. I think that was kind of for me by nature, I love origin stories. Like if you have any trilogy, let's say the Batman trilogy, right? And my favorite part of a trilogy is always the first one, right? Whether it's Batman Begins, the first Lord of the Rings, the Fellowship of the Ring. Like I always love the origin stories. And so I think episode 25 to me feels more like wrapping up that first origin chapter of the podcast before we moved on to the middle section.
You put it very nicely. Okay, episode 26 of Plums and Peach Trees. This one we were talking about holidays, but then
specifically New Year's.
Yeah, it was New Year's, so we did the annual like 토정 비결 or 사주, which was surprisingly accurate. Yeah. This was the one, right?
Yeah, we did a live reaction to having my first traditional Korean fortune read. Through a website that you found. It was a bank website, right?
Yeah, Shinan was very... But I think we did it through maybe ChatGPT?
No, maybe both.
Both.
Yeah, it was surprisingly accurate. But, I think these are designed that way. Blood types, zodiac signs, they all feel surprisingly accurate.
Yeah.
Even my zodiac, not zodiac. What do you call the Chinese animal? Is that zodiac?
Zodiac, yeah.
Yeah. When I read the description for a rat compared to the other ones, I'm like, that is crazy accurate. Okay. Episode 27, Did You Eat? I think this was our first language one, right? I guess the slang one is kind of language adjacent, but yeah, so we discussed the Korean language and all of its beautiful and confusing glory. This is where like...
high context and low
Yeah,
context.
that was my one takeaway here, which was at the time someone had forwarded me an article about how Korea is a high context language versus America being a low context language and society.
Yeah.
Where in America you typically tend to be very explicit and you don't need to, let's say, as much read between the lines or understand nuance. I think whereas Korea, a lot of things go unspoken, and therefore you need a very high level of context to even understand and follow what's being said. And especially how this manifests in the workplace. Maybe that's talking to some of the differences you've noticed, right, Jun? Whereas American coworkers are maybe very direct, very blunt, very comprehensive. Whereas, you've said in Korean meetings, sometimes in Korean companies, you leave the meeting and everyone has a different conclusion and takeaway.
Still happening. Yeah.
The other thing from the show notes, this is the first episode where we placed ourselves on the Korean-American spectrum.
Oh, did we?
Yeah, whereas we decided, I don't know what we decided in this particular episode, but, I'm roughly a 7.5, more American than Korean, and you are...
A 2.5.
Yeah. Oh, I remember being so shocked when you placed yourself there. Because I would have put you as like a 4.5, like 4.5. But yeah, you placed yourself as a 2.5.
Yeah.
Oh, I also shared my story about when we first moved to Korea. In that first week, we were quarantining in an Airbnb. We had just gotten like our phones, and we were trying to buy furniture, settle our Junset contract, and buy a car, and like how stressful that week was. And yeah, there was a very funny story about when we bought our first car.
Oh yeah, 어떻게 오셨어요?
And we were literally like on the phone again. It was like, 차 사고 싶어. 돈 있어요. And they were like, what? And the funniest part was when it was all said and done, the person dropped off our keys. He did the tinting, the camera, everything, right?
Yeah.
And then finally he was like, I'm so glad this worked out. When you first called, I thought you were a phishing scam. And in hindsight, it makes sense, right?
Yeah.
It's like the equivalent would be picking up a phone, calling the local car dealer, and being like, car want to buy, money have. In a horrible, horrible accent, yeah.
Yeah. I specifically remember you mentioning like the store person said like 어떻게 오셨어요? Like how did you come?
Yeah.
And I think your wife said like we came by subway or something.
Yeah. Why are you asking?
Okay. Episode 28, Extreme Decision. I think this was in time with the tragic suicide of Lee Sung-gyun from My Mister, which was specifically also hitting me harder because it's one of the very few K-dramas that I watched and really loved. And then we talked about the culture of unalivement. Shoot, I don't know. I already said suicide, right?
Yeah.
And why it's so prevalent in Korean culture. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, there's no beating around the bush, Jun. Korea still has the highest suicide rate by far of any country. Since this episode, there have been so many suicides
more, right?
since. So it's not slowing down. And yeah, it just seems to be
What was the recent one?
the top actors. I'm so bad with names, but
Oh, 김세론.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's it feels like there's one
Yeah.
almost every week. So I think this one's complicated because there's so many reasons and there's so many things that go into this. I guess I don't even know what to call it. One analogy I'll make is that every time there is a mass shooting in the US, the same Onion article, which is a satirical website, comes up, which is like, we can't do anything about this, say Americans, in the only country that this happens, right? And I think my feeling is that just like Americans are so numb and almost feel like it's hopeless trying to fix the problem of gun control, mass shootings, etc. in the US, it feels that way in Korean society. Like suicides have become so normalized and common. And maybe at first they did try to fight it and prevent it and lower it, but now it just seems like such an intractable, hopeless problem to solve. I don't know if that analogy rings home for you or resonates with you, but yeah, that's just the feeling I get. Everyone's like, yes, this is tragic, awful. We can't do anything about it.
It's to the point where when I'm scrolling down my Instagram feed and I see like this big headshot of a celebrity, I'm like, my heart drops. Like, oh, what happened to this person? I mean, a lot of times it's something not related to that, but that's how frequent it is.
Your initial reaction is like, oh no, did they commit suicide?
Yeah.
So yeah, sadly, I don't think it's getting better. But also, again, like, I don't know what there is to be done about it. It's such a complicated thing.
Yeah.
Okay, episode 29 was Reply 1975. This was another. I think this triggered June a lot of our subsequent episodes, deep diving into these things like Han, Jung, whatever, right?
Yeah.
Whereas I think this is the first episode we really laid out how the Korean culture in my mind growing up was really just a time capsule of Korean culture in 1975.
Yes.
And how in the subsequent 50 years, Korean society and culture has changed so much. Whereas in my mind, like, I wasn't aware of that. And yeah, so I think, whether it's subway etiquette, fear of North Korea invading, right? These are the things that, the first thing my parents told me when I told them, hey, we're going to move to Korea for a bit, they were like, you can't do that, right? Like, North Korea could still invade any moment.
Yeah.
And even though that may be true,
Yeah.
modern Koreans just don't think that way. So.
And this was also the episode where we talked about why there's such a big generational divide in Korea and how like that fast-paced economical growth has like there's this stratification of like very different mindsets in Korea all living together in the same generation, which is a very interesting thing that I think is a bit different in the States. Yeah.
I still remember that moment. I was at the, some modern history museum in Korea where I saw the infographic detailing basically how, the miracle of the Han River, how rapid Korea's economy grew, how rapidly it grew in the 70s and 80s. And just placing my parents' immigration in 1975, Korea was still very, very poor.
Yeah.
It had not undergone, let's say, the majority of that economic development that happened really in the early 80s, I'd say, but started in the late 70s. And so I think this gave me a ton of empathy and understanding for my parents. Also very much in contrast to my relatives and extended family who never left Korea, right? Like, why are they so different from my parents?
Okay, cool. Episode 30 is called etiquette. Is this a word that you coined?
I don't know if I coined it, but yeah.
Okay, where we talk about pet culture.
Yeah.
Specifically, it was very interesting to me because you mentioned how Korean dogs are not very well socialized.
Yeah.
It
I
never
said
came to
they're
mind.
so poorly trained.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
Because I feel like Koreans tend to care so much about their pets, right? They have like 개모차? What was it called?
Yeah, gemocha.
Is it 개모차?
Dog carrier.
Yeah.
Basically a baby stroller.
And they
just
like
for the dog.
put in so much time and effort and money into like buying these very expensive equipments. But it was so shocking to me. I'm not a dog owner, so I don't know that you made this comparison to the States where, dogs are not well trained. Yeah.
I stand by this one. I will say, just as you pointed out in this episode, June, there's a huge generational divide, right? I think probably older dog owners might not care as much about proper training and socialization, whereas I suspect the younger dog owners are very, very diligent about it. But yeah, I stand by this one mostly because when I do go back to the US, or even when I went to Taiwan, yeah, the pets are so well trained.
Really?
All the kids play with them. They're okay. It's just like they're so good. And every time I come back, or sorry, whenever I see dogs here yapping around or just like, you know, don't go near the kids, keeping them away. I understand some of the reason behind that, but I stand by my take. I still see so many pets and dogs in particular in Korea where I feel like, oh man, that is really not well socialized or trained at all.
It makes me worry because it must be a reflection of how humans are trained too in Korea.
Oh, wow, that's deep.
Because it's like pretty much the same as...
You mean raising their kids versus raising pets?
Or like how people socialize and stuff like that.
Yeah, I suspect there is probably a lot of dark undertones there that bleed over.
I think Koreans are... they're very awkward around socializing in general, whether it's in American standards or even Korean standards as well. I see that more and more even often nowadays because of like all the digitalization and like social media and all that. Like people are very, I think, awkward around social interactions in general.
It still breaks my heart every time my younger two kids, all my kids just want to pet animals all the time. And I still have to stop them and say, no, you don't do that here.
You didn't get a turtle? You got a turtle, right?
Yeah, you don't pet a turtle. Like turtles are...
Is it still alive?
It's still alive.
Oh,
oh yeah. That story about our friends who got a turtle.
Yeah.
And after I told them how much work it is, mysteriously the next day, June, the turtle was no longer alive.
Oh my god.
I will say it's an act of love, man. Like that turtle, we never play with it, and it is a pain to keep clean.
What do you do? Like change the tub?
Change the water, clean out you have to empty out the whole thing. You know, deep clean. To be honest, my kids love it. We get old toothbrushes, get all the stuff together, put on the gloves, and then they like deep clean and scrub everything. But it is a pain. Yeah, I really don't want to do it.
And it's gonna outlive you. It's gonna haunt you forever. Okay.
All right, episode 31. This was our very first media review, June. We did Gyeongseong Creature.
Yeah.
Which at the time was the #1 show in Korea. Some very famous actors and actresses in it. And yeah, I don't know what exactly prompted. I just thought, like, you know, trying to come up with different media formats and episode types. I wanted to explore this. Oh, yes. Okay, June. Whether you remember or not, back then we had like quarterly planning meetings. We were checking in on the podcast. What do we want to do, explore creatively? And so I remember we came up with a bunch of topics. And one was like having guests, which we'll get to in the future. But another was to review trending or popular, historically relevant media. And so I was going to watch this anyway. And I said, oh, why don't we do a media review on this K-drama? So.
It was the first time. It was very fun for me because it was the first time watching a certain media by having back in my mind that I have to catch all these cultural nuances and like try to understand or like trying to explain things to you, and it was very fun for me as well. Yeah.
I now remember. Okay, this is going to connect a lot of random things.
Yeah.
But you know, the nearby highway is called the Gyeongbu Expressway.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, Gyeong for Gyeonggi-do. And I remember there was a Caucasian mutual friend at poker. They're like, no, Daniel, that's Gyeong for like Seoul, an old name for Seoul, right? Yeah. And Gyeongseong Creature, the Gyeong here is referring to that same one. Now I know all this. And yeah, 2-year prior me was ignorant to it. That's another thing that I remember from this. But yeah, I think, again, just some of the similarities between, let's say, the Holocaust and Japanese occupation of Korea, the swastika in relation to the Japanese colonial flag, right? And just like what that might trigger for a Korean. I think those are some things that stand out. Some of the things that stand out reflecting on this episode.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the Gyeong word, Gyeong actually means capital, and but it means Seoul, right? But that same character is used for Tokyo, which means like East capital, and Beijing, which is Bukkyong, which is North capital. Yeah, so it's like has like East Asian like group region thing. Yeah.
Sorry, specifically when you write Tokyo?
Yeah, it's Donggyong.
Donggyong.
It's East capital, and
oh, that's how you refer to Tokyo. Its name is not Donggyong.
some people call it Donggyong.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
like the older generations would call it Donggyong.
Donggyong. Wow. Meaning
and
East capital.
yeah, and Bukkyong as well.
Oh, wow.
Mm.
Okay.
Okay,
Wouldn't Bukkyong be Pyongyang?
for our standard, yeah. No, but that's like officially what they call it too.
Okay, okay.
Yeah,
Who's they?
like Chinese or Japanese.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And so, dude,
Tokyo
How
is
do
literally
Chinese
the way
people-
that they read Donggyong. Tokyo, Donggyong,
oh, so how would Japanese and or Chinese refer to Seoul?
Seoul.
No, something Gyeong though, no?
No, I don't think we were significant
Good
enough
enough. Oh,
to
wow.
become a Gyeong.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Is it there's just a north and a east capital?
Pretty
Beijing
sure-
and Tokyo.
Pretty sure there's the west and south. I don't know,
Oh, okay,
but those are the two most famous.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we decided to go up to 33. And
Yes.
so we'll do this in 3 parts.
Mm-hmm.
Episode
32
Yeah.
is another daily life episode, manual automatic sliding doors. Is this the first one that we did it remotely, right?
Oh yes, this is only one.
Yeah.
Yes, this is
First
the
and
one we
only one.
experimented with over VC at night. Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about another after you accumulated all this daily life curiosities and observations.
Which back then it only took like 2 months to accumulate a whole episode's worth of observations.
Yeah, and I still don't know why Korean automatic doors are
Require a button.
manual.
I feel like it maybe is to save energy. I don't know. Sometimes when I'm on those really truly automatic motion sensor doors, but you're like standing right on the border, so they're constantly opening, closing.
Oh, yeah, that's
Sometimes
annoying.
I think like, oh, that's such a waste.
Yeah.
Right? It's like,
And
but
they're so slow in opening.
yeah, the 2 things that I remember from this episode, June, I think it was. I think someone might have recently commented on the bloopers here. But yeah, because this was our first ever time trying to do VC over video conferencing, and there was a reason why it was the last time, because the bloopers were basically us talking over each other
Yeah.
nonstop.
Yeah. But you know what? Surprisingly, after when we export it, it's sort of like calibrated.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah,
that
yeah.
when you see the final product, it doesn't look like it has latency.
But there were still enough times where we were just like constantly talking over each other. It was pretty funny.
Yeah, I don't know how people do it.
I guess they just, I think most times it's just really like you talk and then I talk. Like there's not as much interrupting back and forth. I don't know if that's good or bad, but sorry, the other thing I remember from this was, at least from the show notes, it's the first time we got into maybe your cell phone essentially being your identification in Korea, where everything is tied to your cell phone, and it's very like strongly tied to your identification.
Yeah. Now it brings a different shade after all of that is hacked.
Oh yeah, that's true too. Yeah, there was a huge hack with one of the major top 2 mobile carriers and networks here. Okay, last one for today. Episode 33 was nunchi. Yeah, concepts. So this is the first time we explored one of the very big, huge cultural things in Korea. And yeah, I mean, I love it. I think nunchi probably is one of the concepts that for me, my understanding, I think, has deepened and evolved the most since moving here. I think my understanding of what it was very superficial before, and I'd say not quite accurate. And I think now I have I wouldn't say perfect, definitely not, but much deeper understanding of what it is. And it is just oppressive. I feel it so much when I transition from a non-Korean context into a Korean context. I've said before, especially at the airport, when I am leaving a country and going into the Korean air terminal area, it just hits you So heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also remember I attempted to explain what the difference between sensu and nunchi is.
Yeah. So proud.
Yeah. But I also want to mention that nunchi is one of those things where it goes back to the Chinese beer analogy.
Yeah.
It's because I think you feel more oppression because you don't know how to
Navigate it.
right? Like, for instance, I am a person who I think I'm probably don't have a lot of nunchi, and I don't care because I understand what the nunchi is, and I just intentionally don't abide to it. But for people who like don't know exactly, so I think you're in like this middle spot where you know enough that there is nunchi, but you don't know enough that you know when to just like don't care about it, right? So I think if you go past that point, I think you can now go into another phase where you could just be you by understanding the rules.
I'm not sure I'll ever get to that level of nativeness, but I think primarily the two things that come up are a sense of self-consciousness when I know I'm being judged or feel like I'm being judged for something. And secondly, I'd say foot and mouth when I say something and immediately realize I shouldn't have said it because it's going to be interpreted in a way that I didn't intend. So I think those are how it manifests. I wouldn't say daily life.
Yeah.
Twice a week. It comes up very frequently though.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, shouldn't have said that.
Yeah.
Or like, shoot, they're going to misunderstand me. Anyway.
I don't know, to make you to maybe bring a little bit of relief to you. I do that all the time. I remember just like yesterday saying something that I totally regretted that I didn't mean it that way.
Okay. With
perfect
that,
timing.
This wraps up part 1 of I expect 3 parts.
Yeah.
Kind of memorializing and commemorating our 100th episode. So 100 takes on 100 episodes divided into 3 sections. Good. Completed.
Good.
Okay. As always, if you'd like to support our podcast and enjoy it, please share it with a friend that you think might enjoy it as well. Beyond that, if you want to support us financially, you can support us on Patreon. For the minimum tier of just $1 a month, you can get access to our Discord and connect with other members, give us feedback on our latest episodes, and even propose future episode topics.
Since last time, we have 1 new Patreon. So thank you, Rosie.
Thank you, Rosie. You also sent a lot of messages, which we read, but I've not responded to. Sorry. Okay. And with that, that's it for this week.
That's a wrap.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. I think we should end at 30, right? 2 hours.
Yeah, I think it's not like a nice wrap up. I almost wanted to do 25, 25, 25, 25.
Do you want to do 33 then?
Junior genius. Why are you so smart? 야, 왜 이렇게 머리 좋아, 똑똑해. Wow.
Okay.
멋있다. Let's try to go.
Make it a 3-parter.
Yes.
Okay.